Hey everyone, welcome back to the Star Wars Exchange YouTube channel. You're here for an exclusive. We're not even putting this out on the podcast feeds. We're doing a you're joining me and my friend here. You're at the tailgate party. We're at the tailgate party for Jedi Survivor, and it's a pregame show, and we're gonna run down everything that you should know before playing into the game, and we're even gonna talk about the tie-in novel that came out like a month ago, Jedi Battle Scars. So we're gonna dive into that, and then anything you should know, other obviously non-spoiler things about the game, what you should know about it, everything that has been officially released per se, and we're gonna dive into all that and stuff. And obviously, Ari's not here. I'm joined by Darth Deacon, my friend Aiden. As you guys, many of them know him. How are you doing today, Aiden?
Doing pretty good. Excited for Jedi Survivor.
Yes,
Counting down the hours.
we are counting down the hours. So, and actually, Aiden, you're downloading it right now too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're in the stages of playing and everything. So I'm just like pumped because Jedi Fallen Order is like my favorite Star Wars game. Like that game, I connect to it on an emotional level, and it's just overall fun. Does it get lonely sometimes on Zepho, and do I get lost and confused? Sure, but I still have a good time. I still have a good time getting attacked by creatures and chopping creatures down. But yeah, actually, look, I got two Cal Black series on my desk. I mean, I was gonna set them up for today, but have a little, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, whatever, little
Yeah.
section on my bookshelf. But yeah, I just overall love the game. I mean, Aiden, do you wanna, before we dive into all the heavy stuff, do you wanna preface what your thoughts are on Fallen Order?
I remember back when it came out, back when it came out in 2019, right? It came out
Mm-hmm.
at around the same time that Mandalorian was coming out and Rise of Skywalker was coming out. Felt like a heyday of Star Wars content. And that one really shone out of all that content that we got. And it's held a really good legacy throughout these years. And I've been excited to see what they're gonna do with the story next. And here we are, we're gonna get it in just a day.
Yes, I know it is crazy. So I really can't wait to play it and experience where the story goes off from next. Because after Fallen Order ended, right, they were on the Mantis ship, and it's like, well, where do we go next? And then it just closes out, and it's like, damn. Even reading Battle Scars, I was eating that up because we
Hmm.
were learning what the characters were doing and everything. So all right, I guess we could dive into the Battle Scars review. And let me just say, Ari, by the way, is downloading his thing of Jedi Survivor, so he's not around right now. But he's here with us in spirit at the tailgate party. But he himself is already downloading the game. He didn't get a chance to read Battle Scars, so I did pull in Aiden. Aiden and I were hanging out not too long ago for a con, and he was like, read Battle Scars," and I ended up finishing it, and then I was like, let's do a review. So here we are, and here we are going to review Battle Scars, and we're gonna jump into spoilers. This is not gonna be a full length review, just like our overall thoughts on the book, and then what you need to know what happens in the story in case you didn't read it. And if you want to know more specifics, obviously there's Wikipedia and everything, but we're just gonna give you like the rundown of what happened. So I'm gonna start off with my overall thoughts. First half of the book was very interesting because it felt like I was reading what people call smut, and it was very interesting. I mean, I I really like Marin and stuff, and sure, I was one of those people that saw Marin and Cal together, but when she was introduced to a new relationship, I was like, okay, like I'm down for this, whatever. But it just went over the top for me, where I just at times I was like, what am I reading specifically? Like, what's the point to all this? I mean, I like I said, I really like Marin and her backstory, and how even on a platonic level, how she and Cal have connect. Their histories lining up of their people getting slaughtered and whatnot, and them having to find new paths and stuff. I like that. I like those characters a bunch, but I was excited to, in this book, we start getting like the POV of Marin, and you start getting inside her head a lot. And I was like, okay, great. But it escalated to a point where it was just Marin was just being used for this other fantasy life with, with this character named Fret. But yeah, that was just too much for me. But the one thing that made me keep turning the pages in the first half was the characterization of the characters. I think that the author Sam Maggs, she did such a great job at capturing Cal Kestis, Marin, Seer, Grease, BD1. Everything that everyone was doing felt exactly in character, and it felt like I was, you know, uh, reading along the dialogue that was happening in Jedi Fallen Order. Like it just felt exactly like the characters. So it was just like nail spot on. Even the fifth brother was spot on with his characterization because he's on the cover here.
Yeah,
But yeah, I overall I did like this book, but do you have to read it before Survivor? No, you don't have to read it. It's gonna give you clues about the characters, and I haven't played Survivor yet, but um, we'll get into the detail stuff later about the game. But what we do know, but it does set up some things for the game that you could tell are so obvious. So I almost say like if you after you play Survivor and you want to keep venturing with these characters and whatnot, and you like beat all the challenges in Survivor, that I'm like, yeah, why not? You learn more about the characters and stuff. But it's kind of like I hate to say it, but it's kind of a dud of a story to me.
yeah,
Besides,
I agree.
all the characters, it's just kind of like a dud. But Aiden, what did you think? What are your overall thoughts?
I think that you nailed it right on the head talking about just with the characterization. That was the really the main like stick out point was that all the banter that they had like, between the characters, the between the Mantis crew. It just felt like it was straight out of the games. Like it felt like you were on a mission on Zepho and you had Grease in your comm link and Siri in your comm link. And that aspect of it was really cool. And also like where you mentioned the whole Marin subplot, it did get like it was very in depth at times, and it kind of took me off guard. I didn't mind the story. I think that it's interesting giving Marin all this new depth to her character. I really did enjoy that. But I personally I listened to the audiobook, and if a lot of you listen to the audiobooks, y'all will know the name Mark Thompson. Y'all will know his voice. And man, hearing some of those words come out passionately from Mark Thompson's mouth was
Oh.
it was something, especially while driving to the car, driving in the car and listening to it. But besides all that, I did really enjoy. I feel like I got a lot out of it by just enjoying the characters that again we haven't seen since like 2019. We haven't had any content talking about them really. Um, but again, the story was a bit lackluster. It's this whole fetch quest story with an ancient Jedi relic, and it just didn't really do it for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, I guess we could run it down. I mean, literally just an outline of what happens in the book for people that just want to catch up and speed run. I mean, at the beginning of the book, you're thrown right into the action. It felt like something out of Guardians of the Galaxy to me, like maybe of the opening of the second movie where they're just like not fighting beasts, but they're just like working in sync together on
Hmm.
like a mission and whatnot. Like it was just that type of vibe. Like you're thrown right on a Haxian brood base, and they're mingling with stormtroopers, and you're kind of wondering what's going on. And things go sideways, and they're running from the Empire and whatnot. And immediately you're thrown into the video game language of, oh, BD, toss me a stim. Cal doing like these specific movements that he does in the game. There's like
Yeah.
other verbiage that was used that like was like, oh, he needs like, oh, I needs to go to the corner and meditate. Like it was just like everything that you did in the game was incorporated into the language here. So I very much appreciated that. Because I was like, yeah, what does that sound like? What does that look like with Cal getting a stim from BD in something that's not the game? But
Also, props to Sam Mags for bringing the Haxian Brood back. I thought that was awesome.
yeah, I really like the Haxon Brood. It's a cool. I've been replaying Fallen Order, and I was just on on that mission on that asteroid
Hmm.
where you get to fight off against the creatures, and it's a cool vibe. So I do like
Yeah.
the Haxon Brood, and they are a threatening force. So yeah, that was really cool, and it did expand on some of the story from Fallen Order. So we start off there on the base, and like I said, things go awire, and they run into this stormtrooper who Marin is about to kill, but then Fret kind of begs her, and it's like, oh no, like I know you guys, like, I can help you, like, I have some information for you guys. And Fret tells her about this shroud thing, what they call the shroud. And so they take Fret aboard the Mantis for questioning to make sure everybody is in agreement with her and whatnot, and see what do we do from here. Do we bring her along? Do we just get the information? And they, after some passionate scenes between Marin and Fret, we get, Fret is strung along for the journey. And what happens next? They go to like some merchant that can sell that knows of the device or something like that.
Something like that. I honestly, the big middle chunk of the book kind of just it
Right.
kind of just disappeared from my brain. Mainly,
Yeah.
I remember the main parts that I remember are like once the Inquisitors get involved, and the whole like attack on the Axiom Brood base with the introduction of Fret, this Imperial turncoat supposedly.
Right, exactly. And oh yeah, yeah, and the Grand Inquisitor tasks Fifth Brother in finding this technology. And out of all people, you're like, why Fifth Brother? But it was kind of cool reading more about him, because it was very a one tone piece in Rebels. So it was cool, like, expanding on his character. We got some of his Jedi history and whatnot. So that was kind of cool. It was very light, but it was still cool to get. But yeah, and so now Fifth Brothers, it's set up that they're gonna interact with each other wherever they're finding the shroud thing, and it turns out it's actually not a device; it's a person who can build it, kind of like a Galen Erso situation. And but this person turns out to be Fred's old lover, who she thought she had passed or whatever, that she thought she died, but she was on this prison, I think on the planet Mercana.
Mercana, yeah,
Mercana.
yeah.
So they go there, and I mean, this was like the coolest part of the book to me. I don't know if you agree or not, Aiden. If the What was the coolest part of the book for you? Was it the prison scene, the
I
prison
would say
base?
so. I'd say like all the fights like involving the Fifth Brother were pretty cool.
Yeah,
Seeing like Cal actually kind of he's not as good as everybody else with his lightsaber abilities, unfortunately.
yeah, exactly. No, that was a really cool moment. Fifth Brother. What you need to know about that battle is literally Seer goes toe to toe with Fifth Brother. So does Cal. And the way the battle is written, it was, like I said, like Sam
And
Mag. The characterizations of the characters is so good, but the way she wrote these fights out, they were like pretty descriptive and very. I felt like I was there in the room, like feeling like the hatred coming from the Fifth Brother, and feeling the exhausted energy coming from Cal. Um,
one would say that it left a couple battle scars on the Mantis crew.
oh no, too soon. You want to know why Cal has a couple scars on his face in the Survivor game? Read battle scars. Yeah, yeah. That fight scene was, Cal got hit in the face with the lightsaber a couple times. Grease lost an arm. Seer, what did you think of Seer trying to, so in Fallen Order we get the Seer that, she admits to Cal, I struggle with the dark side. It's something we all Jedi must overcome, but I do struggle with it, even though I've turned the force off. I've disconnected from it. She goes to fighting Fifth Brother, and she has a whole different approach, where she tries to be like in that mentality of like, I can fix him.
Yeah,
And she tries to do that, and it gets everyone hurt.
yeah. I will say I really like the direction that they're taking Seer's character because
Mhm.
her whole focus now is like preserving the Jedi Order,
Yeah,
preserving all the information, all the relics, everything, so that once the Empire is defeated, that there is a way to rebuild that Jedi Order. I think
very
that's a
true.
really good approach for her. Um,
It's different.
seeing, yeah, seeing the way that she approached Fifth Brother is really interesting after her encounter with Trilla.
Hmm.
I'm excited to see like how because we see her in the trailers for Survivor, and
Hmm.
she's got a bald head. Looks like she's very monk-esque. She's with a
Yep.
bunch of like holocrons or books and archives and stuff like that. So I think that her honestly, all of the characters are just all the directions that they're being taken in. I'm just excited to see more. We didn't get to see too much from some of them, but
Yeah. No.
they will
Yeah.
continue to
Exactly.
grow.
Exactly. And I think you said it perfectly with Seer. and yeah, she seems to be like on a spiritual journey. I think that encounter with Vader even changed her. And that to me is just like, okay, cool. You know, she's got cool looking clothes now instead of like these like cargo pants and whatnot. Like she, you know, she or like even a vest. I don't know what kind of. I'm sorry, but Star Wars is just not, and this is disrespectful to them, but like literally I don't know who it is, but even Finn, like for me, I feel like obviously besides like Mace Windu, all like the black characters get like the worst outfits in Star Wars. I don't know what it is. Even John Boyega complained some about of some of his outfits, and I don't know what. It's just the most basic looking thing. Anyways, that's a
Yeah.
very side note, but anyways, I love the way that the fight scene played out here. And then Seer, she tapped into the dark side at the end to fight off the fifth brother after Cal was hurt, Grease was hurt. Then she used the dark side again, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So to me, I was like, oh man. And then Cal learns about it later, and he's like, what the heck? Like there's one minute you're like trying to heal him and trying to like save him, like we can save you, and then the next minute you almost like, you know, kill him out of anger. So that was you know, that was, I guess, maybe even the events of this book canonically, obviously the game was made beforehand, but you know, the story in here canonically, you know, pushed her in this different direction. But yeah, it was overall this cool battle scene happens, and it was just like everything. You even get a scene where Marin is just swiping left and right, taking out stormtroopers, and that was cool to read. I don't know how it sounded audio wise. I'm sure it sounded great, but in
Hmm.
the book, it was just cool hearing about Marin taking down all these stormtroopers, and then they get off world, and they try to like they see that they all disagree on how to fight the Empire. Fret turns out to be a liar. The the old lover she ran off with, and she got regrouped with everyone, and they kind of blamed Fret for what happened to Grease. And but anyways, then they kind of like throw themselves onto a planet, a random planet, like we need to cool off, like disappear for 48 hours and come back, and we'll let cooler heads prevail because they just all seem out of it. And Marin is like, man, this sucks because we always work in sync, and now it just feels like everything's falling apart. And then everyone has like their own like conversations outside the ship. Everyone leaves, they come back, and you know, they still very much disagree, but just in a cooler way. You know,
Hmm.
in a lot more calmer way. And you just get that tease that, like I said, there's not much that happens in this book, but there is a tease. There's this setup that is going to take us to Survivor, that in the coming years they do split up for the better, because it just seems
Yeah.
like they need to go their own way. Like they all want to fight. Grease doesn't even want to fight the Empire anymore. It never did. Marin wants to keep fighting the Empire until she exacts. You know, she's not able to kill off the Separatists because they're no longer around, so she'll make the Stormtroopers suffer and everything. But that's all it is to her. There's no goal of taking the Empire down. It's just making them suffer. Cal wants the entire Empire to disappear and fall, and he wants to just whatever it takes, kind of like the Saw Gerrera approach, where it's like it doesn't matter, whatever it takes to fight. Seer is, as Aiden perfectly explained it, she is just in that mentality of preserving the Jedi Order, and kind of taken, if you've read the Charles Soule Darth Vader comics, I think the Jocasta new approach, where she's just off hidden, protecting her library, stealing, you know, accommodating, you know, all the references and books that you can, and just preserve it for the next generation.
Yeah. And then poor
And
Grease is just dragged along for the ride.
I know, poor Grease. I
Poor
wonder what
guy.
he's doing. Do you think he's gone back to his gambling ways after Battle Scars?
It's definitely possible.
Wow.
I
So
think that the interesting thing that this book does is it sets up all those tensions. And
yeah,
we know that, like, we know in Survivor that they're all split up. Whereas in the book, jumping ahead a little bit, but they're all together at the end of the book. There's not really too many repercussions from the story.
right,
So I think that the main purpose of the book was just like driving up those tensions so that when you hear like
right.
what actually happened and why they split up, it would make more sense.
Yeah, exactly. I could totally see that. It being that, I mean, I automatically knew. I didn't even know that the Mantis crew had split up until I watched some celebration interviews after I read the book, and it just made sense. It just made sense, and I already was like, oh man, I feel like this is gonna set up for something else because they just left it kind of open ended. And I mean and I guess to talk about the end of the book, there was this like it was an okay fight. It just didn't really make sense. They were gonna take out the fifth brother. He shows up. They were gonna give this device to the guy that they. I don't even know what they met with him for. To be honest, it just felt completely unnecessary. But they meet with this guy, this bird-like creature, and they're trying to give him the shroud device or whatever, like a dud though, like a fake thing. And the fifth brother shows up, and he just like kind of wrecks shop. Once again, like injuring Cal, throwing havoc. Definitely gave him a brute force more than I think Rebels did, but
And man, the
it was
book's
just
called
cool.
Battle Scars for a reason.
Exactly. Everybody just gets whipped in this book, and that's exactly what happened whenever Fifth Brother would show up. But yeah, this ending fight though was poor. I don't. They're trying to take out the Fifth Brother with a grenade when they could have just ran because then he just disappeared anyway. To me, I don't know. It
It was
didn't
a
work
very
out.
weak ending,
It very
unfortunately.
weak ending. It didn't stick the landing for me. So overall,
And I'm wondering if it's definitely possible that like Sam Maggs was kind of restricted in what she was allowed to do
for sure.
because she didn't. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities with why that is.
No, definitely, definitely. For sure. I mean, I don't really know what the writing process is there, but I'm sure she did her best, and I still think this story is worth reading for the characterizations and stuff, and you do get a lot of character work and whatnot, and a lot of moments where characters reflect on what happened in Fallen Order, and like to people like me and Aiden that care about like not specifically just the lore, but what characters are saying, the novelizations of things where you kind of get into the characters' heads because we can't do that in the game. We can't know what they're thinking unless they say it out loud. And when you see that in writing here, it's like, oh, it just makes all it gives it all the more I don't know, testament to us. Like it just solidifies whatever happened in that game. Like, oh yeah, Cal felt this way about his fight with Vader or whatnot. So I still think it's worth checking out if you're a big Fallen Order or soon to be Survivor fan. So overall, Aiden, any closing thoughts and what would you rate this book out of 10?
I'd probably. That's a hard rating. I'd probably stick at around a 7 to 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because while the story wasn't the best, it works. It makes sense in that timeline as to why that would be a thing going on, and the characterization definitely drives it up. Just being able to see these characters and hear them interact with one another again is a lot of fun.
For sure. Yeah, overall, I like I said, I think you should read this book if you really are a fan of the games and whatnot, of the characters. Like, read it for the characters. I think it does cool character stuff, but it's just a boring mid story. It's nothing vital to what happens in the game or whatnot. But yeah, I think it's worth checking out, and I'd probably give it a 6.5 out of 10. Like it's yeah, I liked it, but I think it's overall just kind of like, all right.
It's definitely not in the essentials list,
No, no,
unfortunately.
no, not at all. And I wouldn't want to compare it to Inferno Squad because it's just different things. But Inferno Squad, that was some good, really good stuff. Like that book is up there in like the 8.5 for me. I think I'd give it.
Yeah,
That book did amazing stuff in it, and it had nothing to do with the game really. Like it just wasn't. But anyways, so check that out. But now we want to get into, I guess, stuff that you should know before playing the game, and we have like couple. And we have a couple of like, just like I said, this is non-spoiler. Aiden hasn't seen any gameplay. I haven't seen any gameplay. We don't know what's going on. I think this time around they kept a lot of things under wraps. I feel like whenever Fallen Order came out, like they released like all these things of specifically what you were gonna see. I felt like it was very kept under wraps. A lot of things because even when Cameron Monaghan and the director Stig Amusen, I think that's his last name, when they were doing the celebration panels, they like just were like Cameron Monaghan the entire time was joking about not having a poncho for this game or whatnot. And Stig was just kind of like, yeah, it was great to be back, and it's great to be working with this. We got a lot of cool things planned for you guys, but the one thing they said was, do not spoil the ending. Cameron's like,
Uh-oh.
the ending is crazy. It's awesome, and I really hope this isn't a what was that dude from Rise of Skywalker's name? The or something Smith. What's his Kevin Smith? He's not in the
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
J. Abrams, his good friend, was like, the ending will melt your mind or something like that. And it was just like, okay, like that
I
was
trust Cameron Monaghan. I
yeah, I
trust him.
trust Cameron because he actually, is the character, and he did what's his name? Kevin Smith just visited the set. So I just want to preface that with supposedly this ending is crazy. So I'm excited for that. That should be
Very
cool.
excited.
So stay off YouTube, stay off your recommended on YouTube, stay off Instagram, like all that stuff. So, anyways, this is just basic stuff, things that I've already covered. I mean, on like my Instagram, and I think we talked about it on the podcast before, but one of the big enemies of this game is his name is Ravis, and he is a species of the Gendai. Um, I think that he looks very cool. I seen that I think in the trailer they released that celebration. You saw some of his like
Hmm.
tentacles or whatever. Like I don't know what you
Yeah.
call, you know, that looked really cool. I was like, oh man, that looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. So
I'm excited for that. That's a boss fight. That's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah,
It's going to be
I
some major nostalgia.
exactly, and I think that might be the hardest boss fight
We'll
in all of
see.
them.
We
We
shall
will see.
see.
Also very cool this time around. We have battle droids, super battle droids, Magna Guards, commando droids, and droidicas will all be fightable enemies in Jedi Survivor. And I think that's cool because last game, I mean, it was cool fighting all these variations of stormtroopers and these annoying K2 droids, but I think that that's cool that we get that kind of Clone Wars vibe and we get to fight good old battle droids.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see any purge troopers. A lot of
Yeah, I
them.
haven't seen any in the game plays. Like, I mean, in the trailers or whatnot that I watched. I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. It would make sense with Bad Batch kind of eliminating the clones.
Very true. Yeah, that's curious because they even show up on the cover here for Battle Scars, but it looks like they have that Phase 2 armor that they do in
That's
Obi-Wan.
right. I forgot that they had a phase two.
So I'm very interested in that. I wonder if we'll
I
get
actually hope that we. I hope that we do see them.
yeah,
That actually makes sense.
because they're in Kenobi.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would make a lot of sense.
So we'll see that. And Jedi Survivor will have fast travel and rideable creatures. Thank
That
F
fast
because
travel is gonna be a lifesaver.
I mean, now that I'm on my fifth run through Jedi Fallen Order, it's so easy for me to figure things out. Like I timed myself how long it took me to get into that first tomb that everyone hates with the sphere balls. I timed it and it only took me like 33 minutes, somewhere in that range.
Jeez.
I was in and out. I was in and out. And to get back to the mantis took me like maybe like 10 minutes because I just knew what to do. But first time playing that took hours. And I just was like, I'm not looking that up on YouTube. I'm gonna figure this out. And I did. And now I know it like the back of my hand. I'm sure that the fast travel and rideable creatures will be everyone's gonna be using that this weekend to power on through. So I hope that comes to life because yeah, the even on Kashyyyk when you got to ride the shield bird, like elevation wise, like
Yeah,
up and down, that was cool. It's just like, yeah, get me out of this forest. And
forget the
as
actual gameplay. I'm just ready to garden.
guard, oh, it didn't is it? I did hear about that, and you get to
Yeah,
like keep an aquarium too or something.
really.
Yeah, I've heard little murmurs. Like, there's just more things than just the plants too. Like, you can have your own
When
garden.
man,
Yeah.
when are we getting a Star Wars Animal Crossing game?
Oh my god, that would be a lot of fun. Talk to the
Let me
people at
own
EA,
and operate a moisture farm.
dude. Oh my god, you're talking my level. I want a more moisture farm. Do all that milk stuff. Get that blue milk. Oh my god, yes, 100%. And as we just talked about, the Mantis crew has split up and gone their separate ways by the time Jedi Survivor begins. And this one's very cool. Jedi Survivor has 5 available fighting stances for Cal Kestis. They include single blade, dual wielding, crossguard, double bladed, and blaster. Aiden, which one are you most excited for?
I've seen some gameplay of the blaster and saber, and that just looks awesome.
Oh man, I have not seen anything like that, but that sounds like Kanan Jarrah's all over that. That
Yeah,
sounds cool. And as we talked about, one of Grease's arms was severed when he leapt in front of Cal Kestis to block a lightsaber attack from the fifth brother, and he lost his arm, and he wouldn't stop complaining about it.
poor
Um,
guy.
I know, poor man. But that's like really all the major things that we've heard from about this game. Aiden, could you think of any other ones that are non-spoiler?
Not necessarily, no. I'm just ready to dive into it.
Me too. Me too. So
I feel like
on
there's a
that note,
lot to be seen.
yeah, there is, and we want to know what you have to say about the game. Are you excited for it? Have you started playing it? Let us know in the comments. Me and Ari love reading of, and I'm sure Aiden does too now. We love reading about what you guys have to say and stuff, and especially about this coming weekend. This is a party weekend. It's a Star Wars games coming out, and we're all super excited. So make sure you let us know if you when are you playing it now, or are you gonna play it later? Let us know. But yeah, that does it. That does it for me. Thank you guys for watching this pregame show. Like we were gonna only film like I think 12 minutes, but we just started getting talking about like the books and everything. So you know what? We're all here for it. It's the pregame show. What can I say? But Aiden, any final maybe predictions for give a crazy prediction for Survivor before we
Oh
leave?
man.
Give a crazy
Um.
prediction. Maybe what the ending is like. What do you think the ending will be?
All right. Wild prediction. We're gonna have the final battle be the Emperor.
Oh, oh, okay. They are on Coruscant.
They got us. They got to step it up from Darth Vader. I feel like that's the best way to do it.
They are on Coruscant. Also, I guess I will mention that the all the force abilities that you had before, you have them from like I think like the start or something like that. Is what they
Okay.
said.
Cool.
And I remember Aiden and I talking about after we had played Fallen Order, and you're like, "Oh, I don't know how they're gonna make the sequel." If like I remember this distinctly, you probably forgot, but you were like, "I don't know how they're gonna make the sequel if like Cal's probably gonna have to lose all his powers again. I don't know how they're gonna
He's got a
go."
severe case of amnesia. Fifth brother hit him pretty hard and gave him a bad
Yeah,
concussion. He had
yeah.
another battle scar given.
Oh my! I'm actually surprised they did not end up in a back tank, but yeah, they could have done something like that. But that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, crazy coming full circle that you had mentioned that, and now we're talking about this next game that we're about to dive into. But yeah, my crazy prediction is, I think, I think Cal might become an Inquisitor at the end. I think also what I forgot to mention in Battle Scars, there's a lot of dark side moments for Cal that even Seer was just kind of put off by and being like, this guy needs to stop. Like he's on a quest for vengeance that I don't think is going to end up all that well with a happy ending.
Cal's gonna become the next Star Killer.
Oh yeah, I mean I honestly think he might become an Inquisitor at the end. I don't know anything. Again, I haven't seen anything, but I think he might become an Inquisitor.
Okay,
And obviously, maybe the third game redeems him. We don't know. But
that'll
yeah,
be a
those
cool setup.
that would be a cool setup. So and that hopefully we get a better book that time around. But Aiden, when you're not talking about Fallen Order or Survivor, what can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Darth Deacon.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you, as always, make sure you guys follow the SW Exchange on Instagram. We just put up a product or program schedule of what we're doing in this crazy time for May 4th, Survivor and Visions. Go check out the schedule. We have all the dates, or even on the community tab here. Check that out. And until next time, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, because me and Ari will be talking about Survivor soon. And maybe we'll do a live stream playing the game. I don't know. That's just up in the air. But until next time, guys, may the force be with you. Adios.